Coming back to you live on News 2 at 11. Before this break, you were just listening to the latest developments in the Pauline Pusser case. I'm joined now by Good Morning Nashville anchor Mark Kelly. We just want to do a quick recap of what was announced by the TBI. Yes. They did say that they now have probable cause to believe that Pauline's death was not an accident or act of chance, but intimate, deliberate violence, and that if Buford Pusser were alive today, he could be presented for the consideration of murder. And this is
an enormous development. So we covered this story back in May. We were there in McNairy County for the big festival that they hold for years. They have celebrated Sheriff Buford Pusser as really a legend in that community. Films, of course, made after him. And this definitely changes that story and that history that has been told for decades. So some of the new developments, if you're just tuning in this morning, the TBI has been doing this investigation for more than a year at this point. Went so far as to exhume Pauline Pusser's body as well in order to conduct the investigation. And the new findings today are that there is in fact probable cause that Pauline's death was not an accident and was an act of intimate violence, as you mentioned, Peyton, at the hands of her husband, Sheriff Buford Pusser, at that time. And that was always a big question. There's always been a second storyline out there from former law enforcement that are fascinated by Sheriff Buford Pusser and his story, and said something just never quite lined up with Pauline's death, and there seemed to be a lot of holes that these former law enforcement would find. And over the decades, they have pieced together a second storyline that did lead to Sheriff Pusser being the killer, in this case, of his own wife. And that is what this TBI report is also confirming today.
And her family have been advocating for that as well. What kind of reaction do you think that they will have after hearing this morning? What closure will this lead them to?
Well, you heard a little bit of it there. So he mentioned Oakley Dean Baldwin in that press conference. That is a relative of Pauline's. I had a chance to interview him a couple months ago as well. I just messaged him this morning to get his reaction to this brand new development. But at the time, I mean, that was a big part of his. He has written books on this. His family has written books on the investigation. He's former law enforcement himself. And his mission for years, some of these folks for decades, is to simply have justice for Pauline. And that, of course, was also echoed in the DA's statement there this morning, too.
And they were talking about they don't want to, hurt or change a legacy.
Right.
But based on your experiences there, the way people talk about Buford Pusser, how do you anticipate this could change some of the mark that he has left on the community?
And I would ask folks there. We were there for the festival that was in May. They've been holding this every year for quite some time. And at the time, everyone knows that this investigation is underway. And I remember asking one woman there at the festival, hey, if this comes out that it is in fact Sheriff Pusser that is responsible for Pauline's death, would that change your view? Do you think the festival name should change and his name and his notoriety in the community should change? And she said no at the time. That was one person's opinion, but that just gives you a little bit of context of what sort of legend he was in that community. Of course, if you go to McNairy County, his name is written everywhere. There are a number of memorials in his honor. There's a museum in his name, the festival every year. So it'll be interesting to see that this is a huge development in this man's story and how that will change his name there in town.
Absolutely. And we do have a team of reporters out there this morning to kind of gather that reaction and see firsthand what residents think after all of these years of questions. So thank you so much for your insight on this based on your experiences in that community. And we will have continuing coverage as well coming up on News 2 at 11:30 and the latest developments posted to our website, WKRN.com. We'll be right back.